Every faith marks the circle of life with age-old rituals and ceremonies. But how are they celebrated and commemorated in a modern multi-faith Britain? In this episode, Judaism, the fifth largest religious community in the UK. But what does it mean to be Jewish?
Jews, like all human beings, come in all shapes and sizes.
For me, it's an identity.
Peace be upon you, Sarah.
It's very much my everyday life, from when I wake up in the morning until I think I close my eyes at night. I'm doing what I think I ought to be doing as a hopefully good Jew.
From birth
It's indescribable, becoming a mother.
to growing up,
I just want to make my mum, dad and family proud, really. I think I'm ready.
marriage,
The first Jewish wedding she went to was her own.
Yeah.
to the end of life.
One way or the other, there's peace.
How do Jews across the faith mourn loss and celebrate life?
There's always a big party going on, which I love.
And what can these personal stories tell us about the universal experiences we all share?
Every year, every stage of life is a new horizon.
It's a tefillin, and you wrap it around your arm and head. It helps you to be closer to God, and the arm means strength, and the head means knowledge.
12-year-old Ethan is preparing for his bar mitzvah, a ceremony that will mark his transition into Jewish adulthood on his 13th birthday.
And then you wrap it around your arm 7 times.
An important part of the process is learning to lay his tefillin, that Jewish men strap to their head and arm during prayers.
I've always wanted to have my bar mitzvah. Every Jewish man in my family's had it, like my uncles and cousins, and I just want to make my mum, dad and family proud, really.
Bat mitzvah is for a girl and bar mitzvah is for a boy. A bar mitzvah is at the point at which a boy becomes responsible for his actions, and we consider him to be a man at the age of 13.
It's supposed to be kind of the boy or girl becoming an adult, but for me it was just a nice little party, and I got a load of gifts and money that I was able to then spend on sports gear.
It's like one of the most exciting days, having all family and friends coming to celebrate for you for your special day.
Obviously, you get lots of presents and,
And it's a big
gifts
party.
and a big party, and yeah, it's nice.
For 6,000 years or thereabouts, Jewish males have been bar mitzvahed at 13, and to see that happen is to know that our people are still existing and thriving. It's very moving.
Ethan will be called up to read from the Torah, which is a big honour, and he will read a portion which is all to do with his birthday and when he was born, and that's how they choose the portion.
The Torah is the most important holy text in Judaism, believed to be received by Moses directly from God on Mount Sinai.
The Torah is like a Jewish Bible, basically.
It's just all Old Testament and everything that has been like handwritten on parchment. It's very, very holy.
It contains 613 laws, known as mitzvot, that guide Jews on how to live a good life.
There are Jewish laws about what we eat. There are Jewish laws about how we observe the Sabbath. There are Jewish laws about how we behave or how we pray. There are Jewish laws to govern most of life, I think.
Being Jewish means a lot to me. 7, and you wrap it around your arm. I'm proud to be Jewish, but I don't really talk about it a lot because I haven't got really a lot of friends who are Jewish.
We've just got to get practice on getting it a little bit tighter. It's really important for me as a parent that my child is doing something that is so traditional and is something that has been done for hundreds of years. It's an identity, it's a being, and for me, even if my child chooses not to be religious, they've been shown a path.
I'm feeling a bit nervous, but I think if I have a bit more practice, I think I'll do all right. It's just reading in Hebrew, which I'm not really keen on yet.
Sections from the Torah are read in the synagogue during services 3 times a week. Being called up to read from the Torah is a key part of the bar mitzvah ceremony.
Yemi Yaakov Shari Shava Shiva Shemim V'Abiyim V'Mat Shanla.
Fantastic. Oh, brilliant. I told you were brilliant.
I'm twinning a boy called Eli Eisman, who sadly died in the Holocaust from the Nazis. I'm doing my bar mitzvah in his honour, basically.
Choosing to twin a bar mitzvah with a child victim of the Holocaust is becoming an increasingly popular way for children to strengthen the connection with their Jewish heritage.
We haven't found a lot, but I did know that he was born in Poland and he died in 1942.
And he was born in 1930.
Yeah.
Eli Eisman was one of the 1.5 million Jewish children who died in the Holocaust.
They try and make a match to the bar mitzvah child as close as possible, so they'll ask you where your family's from. We've been paired with this little boy called Eli, who was born in Poland, and he's got the same initial as Ethan. This child, along with his whole family, were completely wiped out. He's been forgotten, you know, his life is almost non-existent. And by Ethan doing his bar mitzvah for the memory of this child, this boy will never be forgotten in our family.
I'm gonna light a candle for him every Holocaust memorial every year to make sure he will never be forgotten. I'm happy that I've managed to do this fairly.
So we'll round to Nanny first.
Okay.
There are some very important people Ethan wants to include as part of his special day.
I'm here to visit both my nannies, both my papas and my granddad.
It's a bit emotional, but you know, I know they'll be pleased we're here. So you got your letter for them?
Yeah, I've got my letter here. Where shall I place it?
I'll put it on Nanny. She was the organised one.
Right. I left a letter inviting them all to my bar mitzvah. I said, dear Nanny and Papa, dear Granddads, I would love it if you could come to my bar mitzvah. Miss you all the time. And then I just put from Ethan.
So we invited them. I mean, it sounds crazy, but we did it. I'm sure they'll all be laughing at us somewhere.
The day of Ethan's bar mitzvah has arrived.
I do feel a bit nervous, but I mean, the rabbi has been helping me, so I feel a bit confident with him by my side.
So we're going to take out the tallis. The tallis is the prayer shawl which one wears when specifically for prayer. We're going to say now the blessing together. Baruch.
Baruch.
Atah.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
The ceremony is being led by Rabbi Yankee Abrams at their local Orthodox synagogue in Essex.
There are many different denominations of Jews, and everyone has their path, and everyone does it in the way that they feel passionate about.
Orthodox Jews adhere most strictly to traditional beliefs and practices. In congregations, men and women sit apart from each other, separated by a physical barrier called a mechitza.
We belong to an Orthodox shul, and my children are Orthodox, so they attend here. Am I Orthodox? An Orthodox person wouldn't thought I'm Orthodox, but I'm trying to show my children the best version of being Jewish, and you know, they can make up the decision for themselves.
For Ethan and his family, his coming of age is an important milestone to mark, despite the difficult circumstances of the past year.
It's not going to be like a normal bar mitzvah, as in like a lot of people have huge celebrations, but actually the most important thing is that he's doing it.
The moment has come for Ethan to be called up to recite the blessings on the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'ka benu mikol hamin v'natan lanu et Torah.
There is pressure because he wants to get it right. He wants to be the best that he can be. But it means a lot because he's doing something that's so important to his faith. You know, it's something that he can look back on and be super proud of.
Now we're going to do a special prayer for Ethan. May you bless our fathers Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. Bless Ethan, who has attained his 13th birthday, has reached the age to perform the mitzvah. and be called up to the Torah to give praise and thanks for all the good things you have done for him. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, chai v'kayam. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Ethan is now an adult in the eyes of Jewish law, responsible for living his life according to the Torah.
So the most important thing about being Jewish to me is probably carrying on the tradition in my family. My nans and papas would be happy. I think they'll be watching over. Thank you for joining me today on my bar mitzvah. Today's actually just not my bar mitzvah. I'm actually twinning my bar mitzvah with a young victim of the Holocaust. Let me tell you about Eli Aizman. Eli was from Poland, where my ancestors were from. Eli didn't have a privilege of a bar mitzvah, so today I'm honouring his name and memory, so Eli and his family will never be forgotten, and I am so proud to be given a privilege of being Eli's guardian. I can't let this occasion pass without mentioning my granddads, also my nannies and papas, who are all a huge inspiration for me, and I really miss them, and I hope I've made them proud today. I'd like to thank the rabbi for all his support, and also my mum and dad.
He wants to continue to learn, so that's already a big, that's a big plus. That shows a lot about his character, and because for a lot of kids they're just over the next day, and Ethan really wants to learn and grow, which is very special.
I hope it's brought him closer to his faith. In the eyes of the Jewish law, he's a man. In the eyes of me, he's got a little way to go. We'll keep working on it.
Superb, thank you. Thank you, Grandma. I'm really proud of myself. I think I've made my family proud.
Judaism is very much about tradition, about family.
There's always a celebration, whether it's a festival, someone getting married, a birth, bar mitzvah. There's always a big party going on, which I love.
If you look in the Torah, it's basically the first commandment to man, is to get married and have children and build the world.
I got married at 20 and it was very joyful, and I don't regret getting married at 20 one little bit. I'm not sure my husband would agree, but
He's totally not what I envisioned myself with, but it made so much sense. I thought I'd marry someone taller than me.
She liked my accent, I think.
I think marriage is hard enough as it is, but when you've come from different perspectives and you have different values and different ways of behaving, it's even more challenging. I would never have gone out with anybody who wasn't Jewish.
Yeah, I'd like to get married. I mean, when I've probably bought my own house and I've invested money, that's what I want to do, and got a job, then I'd think about getting married, really.
Is it important to you to marry someone Jewish, do you think?
I mean, it would carry on the tradition of being Jewish, but I mean, they don't have to be Jewish to love them, really.
So you sound comfortable? Yeah, it's fine. I'll practice it. I'll walk around, see if I can breathe in it.
I'll tuck it in there so no one can see it. Lovely. Just don't do the waist again.
I met Jack in 2017 and we started dating, and it was quite obvious it was becoming quite serious. He hadn't told me to begin with he was Jewish, but I kind of started to guess he might be. And then I did have a moment where I was like, wonder what this means for our future. And then I don't know, it just kind of like came into my brain one day that I was happy to convert.
I think my parents had many years of stress that I wasn't going to marry someone Jewish. But when Yolanda told me and then them that was what she had decided she was going to do, that was literally a dream come true for every single one of us.
I knew I definitely didn't want to go down the Orthodox route. That wasn't for me, my lifestyle, what I believed in.
The Jewish population in the UK is highly diverse, ranging from the strictly Orthodox to more liberal.
There's a whole spectrum of religious organisations or synagogues in this country which offer something to everyone who's interested in participating in worship.
I was brought up in an Orthodox home. I lived my life trying to dress in a modest way, not exposing too much, and my hair is covered. My hair is underneath this big
Whereas Orthodox Judaism values the strict observance of Jewish law and ancient traditions, followers of Reform Judaism believe the religion should evolve to adapt to modern changes in social, political, and cultural life.
With Reform, it is a little more relaxed.
Doing a Reform conversion took around a year, just over maybe. I would go once a week and I'd do a Hebrew lesson for an hour and a half, then followed straight after by another hour and a half of, how to live a Jewish life, incorporate it into your life.
Yolanda completed her conversion in June 2019, 3 months before her wedding to Jack.
I don't feel like you wake up and you're like, I'm suddenly Jewish just because you've converted it. I think it just kind of finalised it. So I think along the whole process, it becomes part of your life.
For Jack and Yolanda, it was important that their Jewish wedding ceremony also reflected their beliefs.
Obviously, a Reform ceremony is slightly different to an Orthodox one. I think it's just a bit more focused on the equality side of things, particularly with a female rabbi, a female cantor marrying us.
Yolanda and Jack, welcome to your wedding. You've done it. You're here. After all the planning, now you just need to breathe, to be present in this moment, surrounded by people who love you, and to enjoy your special day.
Jewish wedding ceremonies take place beneath a canopy known as a huppah.
You stand underneath with your family and your groom, and it's almost like making a new home together. That's kind of what it symbolises. The whole process is sort of symbolising that both families are coming together, creating a new home, and hopefully starting a new family.
We're at our moment of a public Bedecken ceremony. Tradition tells us that this moment of Bedecken is about checking that we have the right bride under the veil, because of the biblical story where Jacob was tricked into marrying Leah before Rachel.
At most traditional Jewish weddings, the groom veils the bride before the ceremony begins.
In today's society, we're not so keen on veiling a woman when we bring her into public, and so we turn tradition on its head.
But Jack and Yolanda chose to adapt the tradition.
In this moment of Bedecken, Jack's going to unveil his bride to show Yolanda how proud he is to be able to call himself her husband.
I felt like everyone was involved, even people just watching. Our parents were underneath. We had, friends doing readings. We had our mums giving us the wine. My sister-in-law signing the ketubah.
The Zohar teaches us that marriage is a union of two halves of the same soul. So as you circle each other, may you create your own protection for the other and the start of your own inner circle that is just for the two of you.
In more traditional communities, a bride would circle the groom to symbolize her devotion and protection of her husband. But many Reform couples choose to modify this ritual.
We did 3 each and circling each other, and then one where we did it simultaneously.
You're going to repeat after me. Hare.
Hare.
At. Makudeshet. Li. B'taba'at. Zo. Kedat. Moshe.
V'Yisrael.
Just the ceremony itself, it was a culmination of, I think, many years of stress for my parents. And I had truly landed on my feet. I got the girl of my dreams. She was Jewish. I had this amazing ceremony, this group of friends, and I was standing there in front of them with my family, having the most incredible moment that I was never 100% convinced would happen.
Yeah, I'm sure your dad had lots of tears of joy, but also relief.
And of course, we ended with the traditional smashing of the glass and me praying that I didn't miss it, because she'd have killed me if I had.
Breaking the glass symbolizes the destruction of the temples in Jerusalem. It's often seen as a reminder that even in moments of immense joy, happiness should be tempered with reflection.
Mazel tov!
The chain of events that unfolded after then, I don't think anyone could have predicted. My brother was due to get married in February, and a couple of days before my brother's wedding ceremony, my father got diagnosed with cancer, or re-diagnosed with cancer. But the thing that has kept us going is that most important part of Judaism, which is that family side, that bond. And I think that's been critical, kind of a really close-knit family. And having Yolanda in there as well and being a part of it has been, she's been a real rock. We actually told him Yolanda was pregnant, and at that point it was almost like that was what he was waiting for. He'd been fighting and fighting, he let go, and a few days later he was in the hospice. Jews believe that when you die, your soul leaves you and hopefully goes to a better place.
God forbid someone passes away, that body is now sacred. It's now a holy item because it's done so many good things in its life.
Everybody in death is treated exactly the same. Everybody is buried in exactly the same coffin, prepared in exactly the same way. Within the United Synagogue, where I volunteer, I help to organise the teams that do the preparation for burial.
Jewish burial societies are usually made up of volunteers from the community who perform the final rites for the deceased according to Jewish law.
We call it a tahara, which means purification. You are purifying the body, you've cleansed it, you pour the clean water over it, you're saying a prayer, and you're purifying it ready to meet its maker. After we finished, we asked the person for forgiveness if there's something that we haven't done with the right frame of mind, or we didn't act strictly according to the law. We're very sorry, and please forgive us.
And we did not act according to the law of the Torah. It was surely unintentional, and forgive us.
Not everybody feels that they are made for that sort of work, but for me it's a very important thing that I can do for the community. Nobody's supposed to know who does anybody's tahara, so the family that are burying someone don't know who looked after their departed relative. It's something that we keep quiet about. They say that because the person who's died can't say thank you, it is the last good thing you can do for them.
Traditional Jewish law states that funerals should take place within 24 hours of death to honour the deceased.
It's a commandment to bury, so you're supposed to do it as quickly as you can.
I think that just doing it that quickly, it's like ripping off a plaster and having that really intense period in one go.
Following a Jewish burial, there is a week-long mourning period known as sitting shiva, a practice which originates from the Torah.
You have people come to your house and you sit and people come and you say prayers, morning prayers for up to 7 nights.
The bereaved sits on a sort of hard and fairly low standing chair. It happens in the home at the Shiva. People queue up to wish you a long life, to convey their sympathy, to embrace you. It's pretty comforting.
And then you have the 30-day mark, where you mark the end of 30 days by being able to do more, cut your hair, things that you'd stop doing. And then you have a year of mourning for a parent. You don't buy new clothes, you don't listen to music, you don't go to parties or weddings and that sort of thing. And then the year's over and you move on.
At the end of the mourning period, Jews hold a simple service to mark the formal unveiling of a headstone, known as a stone-setting ceremony.
My understanding is that the placing of a stone on a grave, in fact, owes itself to a Jewish tradition starting, I think, with Jacob burying his wife Rachel, and he marked her burial site with a stone.
Today will be the first time David will see the stone that permanently marks the grave of his father Norman, who passed away 11 months ago.
It's an opportunity to reflect perhaps a little less emotionally on the life of the individual than you would at a funeral.
It's very special to be here and to be honouring Norman. I'll hand over to David for some words of tribute.
Okay, well, my dad was a quiet and unassuming person who didn't care much for being the centre of any stage, so I'm going to keep my words short. He'd be the first to agree that his childhood and his early years were a bit bumpy. They weren't the happiest, but all that changed when he met my mum. They were married for 65 years plus and were blissfully happy and inseparable. They really didn't need company of anyone else, actually, although they were very sociable people. They were fine by themselves. He loved the shul, he loved the community. He found great strength in the community and it kept him going. His devotion to his family, to his wife, his unselfish love of her, of me, of his grandchildren, the time he gave to the people really close to him. He was, in many ways, a very, very simple, unsophisticated man. Dad, you were a success, that you are hugely missed and you will be greatly missed forever. Thank you. It was only when my mother died that I got to appreciate that he had some sort of deeper underlying insecurities about himself, about his own worth. He achieved a great deal more than he thought, actually. I just wanted to include on the stone just a sentiment that would be there forever. You know, a sentiment that captured something of how I and I know other people felt about him.
Norman Markham, 5th of January 1927 to 6th of January 2020. A wonderful husband, dad, grandpa and great-grandpa. Hugely missed. He was a success in all that really mattered.
It is powerful to be there, and on this occasion, very kindly, the Rabbi Wallenberg, offered me the opportunity to say the Kaddish, the prayer. That was very nice. I think it's a prayer of thanksgiving, and it's a prayer for peace, and yet it is the traditional prayer said at the time of bereavement. It's said from one generation to the next. As soon as you hear the opening few words, Yiskadav, Yiskadash Shemay Rabbah, you know that somebody is being remembered. It's quite powerful, particularly as it had the particular words that I wanted there to be to reflect his life. And you see his stone next to my mother's stone, the two of them side by side, and this is where the faith bit kicks in. You still think there is a marriage of sorts going on. One way or the other, there's peace, and everyone wants to believe that something meaningful awaits them after they die.
Being Jewish, for us, it's how we plan our future together, what kind of parents we're going to be, how we're going to teach them to live a good life.
Even though I'm not the most religious person, I'm very, very proud to be Jewish, and I want my children to be proud to be Jewish.
It doesn't matter what religion you are, but bringing children up within a framework, showing them what's good, what's bad, how they ought to be living their lives is very, very important.
Rabbi Yankee and his wife Rochel live with their 2 young children in Essex.
We're gonna make challah all together. Okay, Mishka, Mommy's gonna give you a piece of challah dough so you can make your own challah. Can you roll all of them into a long, long line? Yeah.
Can you see now Mishka and Mommy making challah?
Mishka, what's gonna happen soon? What are we gonna have? A new baby, right?
Is it going to be a baby sister or a baby brother?
We will see.
That's right. We're gonna see. We don't know which one it is. This will be our 3rd baby. We don't know what we're having. We chose not to find out because it's a lot more exciting.
We have a girl, Mishka, and Yosef.
So we have one of each. So that's why we didn't feel like pressured into knowing what we're having because we're excited. We'll be excited with any of them.
We're very humbled that we are being blessed with our 3rd child, and we thank God for giving us this gift. And that's actually one of the things about having a child, is where the ability to create so to speak, something from nothing, which is the most godly-like characteristics that human beings can have. And that's the greatest power that we have in order to create something from nothing, so to speak. The man and the woman, each by themselves cannot create a child. They each need each other, but the ability to create something from nothing, that's what God has.
Just because it's your new baby brother. Yeah.
Rabbi Yankee and Rochel welcomed their new baby boy 8 days ago.
It's indescribable, becoming a mother, seeing this child that's your child, that you brought into this world. You can't really put it into words.
When you become a parent, it changes you as a person forever. Okay. There's the camera so everyone can see. Okay, welcome everyone to the bris of our newborn son, who will be entering in a few moments.
A new baby in any household, Jewish or non-Jewish, is a source of complete joy. We mark the birth of a male with circumcision. I know there is a debate about circumcision that rages. If you're born Jewish as a male, then 99 times out of 100, 999 times out of 1,000, you're going to be circumcised. It's part of our identity of identifying ourselves as a people.
I'm traditional, you know, in that sense. If it's been done for the last 500 years, I will try my hardest to keep it going for the next 500 years. and that is what it's about, you know, just keeping these things going.
I have 3 sons. It was not really discussed. It was what was going to happen, and it's done and it's finished, and you start going forward.
The bris. So,
Brit milah.
I guess for those who don't know what it is where they have their foreskin removed.
Circumcision.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is.
Yeah, which Yolanda's ecstatic about.
I'm 26 weeks, so it's my first pregnancy, and I'm having a boy. I think I'm very nervous about it because firstly, they're going to be so tiny and 8 days old, I probably won't even have my head around having a newborn. And then the thought of having to go and be circumcised at 8 days doesn't excite me at all.
For me, it's fairly critical. It's very much a part of tradition. It's very much a part of the religion, and also it's about my child looking like me.
As the mother of the baby, I pass my baby over to the kvater. The kvater is a couple, so I pass it to my mother-in-law, and she passed it to my father-in-law. So it was a big honor that we were able to give it to them.
The brit milah is the circumcision, which goes back all the way back to Abraham, I guess the founding father of the Jewish faith. And we enter in the covenant of Abraham, our forefather, and by the brit milah, cut away the foreskin. And when a person makes that bond, cuts that foreskin and enters into that covenant's with him for the rest of his life, regardless of how he behaves or what he does. He's now eternally bonded with the Almighty.
The ritual itself is performed by an experienced moil who is trained to carry out the surgical procedure.
Okay, we're done.
It's an incredible dedication that we mark in our flesh and our physical bodies, that bond, and wherever we go, whatever we do, we always have that bond with us, that connection. So even if a person doesn't dress as a Jew or behave as a Jew, eat as a Jew, and live as a Jew, he's eternally bound to his Creator.
After the circumcision, the final part of the ceremony will be the official naming of their new son.
Probably when I was about 19, I had a mentor. His name was Rabbi Elimelech Swibo. He was an elderly person, but was an absolute genius and incredible person of tremendous wisdom. And it was really him that really, I guess, lit the flame in me to want to dedicate my life. It was really him who opened my eyes and to see and to understand what it means to be a Jew. When the child's born, it's infinite potential, and you want to be able to try and ingrain that within the child, that they have the potential to be anything they want, that they can change the entire world. They have that power within them.
We don't name after the living, we only name after people that passed.
We want the people that they're named after to be a source of positivity and example for how they should live. They should know who they're named after. Our new son, Elimelech, when the name is given to the child is now officially part of the Jewish nation. And we're not many, we're about 15 million Jews in the world. It's a very, very small amount. And every one that is added to our people is a celebration for the entire nation of Israel. In Judaism, we really celebrate life. We like to appreciate the gift of life, and that's something which is we shouldn't take for granted.
You could tell he's a rabbi, right?
Being Jewish, it's like a huge, massive family, you know, and that you find whether you're Orthodox, whether you're Reform, whether you're liberal, whatever you are.
It's about community, it's about a feeling of belonging among people like-minded, with a real love of being Jewish.
I think for me and us, it's not really 100% about religion. It's about kind of what I've inherited from my family and what we now want to pass on to our own.